Good morning, Internet. This is Donna from Bunny Hall, creating a life by the sea. And this morning I'm joining you on my terrace because today's project is going to be beginning this terrace. And as I've mentioned before, I did this project myself. I built this pergola, this funny little porch, and at the time I laid gravel. And for the first 3 weeks it was glorious gravel. I could walk on it, dream I was in England or the south of France. And then the weeds came because I didn't put the proper weed barrier down. So the following summer I bought some hideous astroturf, which is still down, yet I grew to love it because it did such an amazing job of keeping the weeds down, and overall it serves its purpose well. So, as I often learn here, as at this house, as much as I do in life in general, just make lemonade from those lemons. So I've bought another roll of the astroturf, and I'm going to clear out this area today. And so today's project is going to be at least beginning laying down the turf here. So let me have another sip of my coffee. Have a little dream about how I'm going to do it. Luckily it's overcast and it is breezy today, so it can be quite warm just a few miles inland, but because we're on the sea, we're often 10 degrees cooler. So if my friends call and complain about a humid 80 degrees, I'm often sitting quite comfortably in 70 Fahrenheit with a cool ocean breeze. Not always, but today is one of those days. However, it probably might affect the audio. But let's get started. Now I was going to just weed whack these weeds, but it is a sin to not pull as many as I can and give them to the chickens because, let's face it, the chickens love the grass. And since they can't free range because we have far too many coyotes and foxes and everything that wants to eat chickens, hawks, osprey, let's start by clearing the furniture and pulling some weeds. So let's get started with today. After coffee, of course. And I forgot, I wanted to show one more thing before we start clearing the terrace. Is on yesterday's vlog we were laying shells. Now I still have more shells to lay, but I just want to show that a few more of the shells are down, and obviously no one wants to see that Home Depot bucket, but as you can see, it starts to look quite pretty, I think, with the shells. I mean, it's quite rustic, but I kind of feel on this side, the seaside, I can be a bit more rustic and I can do more formal on the other. Oh, and this is a perfect example. This is a treasure. So this morning as I was gathering shells, this is a broken buoy, probably from a fisherman or something. But I just love that shock of orange. And actually next to the purple, I thought it was quite pretty. So often I use our borders as a sort of ever-changing exhibit of my sea treasures. You find it things like this or other funny washed-up buoys. There's a blue buoy over there that I found washed up. And of course they change. It's a changing exhibit. And sometimes it's simply things that are, of course, from the sea, like this. The shell is just particularly pretty and it got scooped up and it looks good with the other shells. So I just wanted to show that. So before we get back to doing the terrace, I just wanted to say, and I'm apologizing now because I'm sure this audio is going to be horrible with the wind picking up. But honestly, at this point, as it's the end of June, I'd much rather have cool wind than hot, muggy, staid air. So let's get started and start cleaning up the terrace. Now what say we go give some grass to the chickens? Let's go bring over our weeds there. It's always fun to give the chickens a treat. Let's look at the sea as we walk. Instead of having to see the horrible black pipe, let's look at the sea and remind ourselves of what we're working towards and not what we're currently in. Now, over the great crevasse, just imagine when this is just a beautiful garden path lined in lavender and scented flowers, and how much easier it will be to get to the chickens. Okay, this way, through the gate. Through the other gate. And all the hungry chickens. I should say I have quite a few chickens in here. This is a new run, and I know it doesn't look that great, but the story is these chickens were actually meant to be shared with 2 other people, and then lockdown happened. So now we have a large collection of chickens, some of which I will keep with my main batch, but they've been doing fine. And they're chickens. They don't know any better. But for anyone who thinks, my, she has far too many chickens in that size run, it's simply due to lockdown. And that's our funny little rooster who's new. And he's named Monty 2, Electric Boogaloo, after our dear sweet Chihuahua Monty, who's just passed. But see how tiny he is? He's an Old English Bantam. He's very, very tiny, but he thinks he's the cock of the walk. And he has a funny, amazing, his crow is great because it's not annoying, it's a nice sound. And this little extra house, again, was just housing them as chicks. And for now, it's extra just so the abundance of chickens have enough space to sit and relax. But again, once we're out of lockdown, this flock will be reduced to about 8 chickens. And I wasn't going to keep a rooster, but now that we've dubbed him Monty 2 after our sweet Chihuahua, we are definitely keeping him. So, okay, chickens, let's get back to work. Well, some would call this half done, and those people would be actually probably right. This is probably only half done, but one thing I've learned from living at this place, is that projects are malleable. Daily lists are malleable. You make your effort, you do what you can, you realize when the moment is best to stop, and then you stop. Now, with vlogging as well, as I need to film things are probably going to take a bit longer, so I'm going to have to factor that in as well. So I felt this was enough. This was good enough for me for the day. I will still do more to this project. I have to trim the edges to get the grass to fit in better, a little bit more weeding, a lot more weeding. However, I knew it was time to stop, and I want to get this post up, but I still made time to pick some fresh wildflowers, make a nice little arrangement to sit out here, and that is another lesson from this house that always amazes me, how much I learned from here, both from gardening and just having to deal with 3 acres in an old house by yourself with very little help. It teaches you patience and perspective. So now, this is day 3, and I hope to keep vlogging daily, so we'll see how that goes. Every day so far has also been a learning experience. How much can I film and edit in one day? That will affect my projects. But I think it is still important for me. Even if I never have 1 follower, I'm kind of excited to think I'll have this long list of things, video things, to keep track of the things I've done, the things I promised myself to do, the things I may have thought to do, even which plants I put in the ground will be very, very helpful. So I think I'm going to close here. Thank you for joining me today at Bunny Hall, Making a Life by the Sea. I hope you will join me tomorrow. Now I haven't any idea what tomorrow will be, but I will make a tentative list this evening, but then, much as a fisherman does, I'll watch and wait the sea. If it's windy and rainy, it will be indoor projects. If it's very, very hot and muggy, it may still be indoor projects. But if it's slightly windy, some sun, cool shade, most likely we'll be out in the garden doing some more things. So I hope you'll join me tomorrow, again at Bunny Hall, Making a Life by the Sea. Now the only thing missing from this little vignette is this table needs a pot of tea. So I think that's what I'm going to do now, is make myself some tea, and I will see you tomorrow, Bunny Hall, Making a Life by the Sea.